Welcome, everybody, to Fallingtower's Watch the First Pod.
House of the Dragon is a prequel to Game of Thrones.
Mine's similar. House of the Dragon is a setup to Game of Thrones.
Ooh.
House of the Dragon is a backstory of one of the biggest families in Game of Thrones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. We are also one of the biggest families in Game of Thrones, the three of us. And of course,
we're nicer.
We'll see. Of course, today we're doing a review of the first episode of House of the Dragon entitled The Heirs of the Dragon. And if you'd like us to review a show, everybody, in the comments below, we are completing Fantasy Week. So we're moving beyond Fantasy Week. You could still suggest a fantasy show, but the point is, in the comments below, make your suggestions of a show that you'd like us to watch the first episode of. Type WTF and the show and where we can watch it, and we will review that sucker. Maybe. Here we go. Make sure to subscribe and like this video as well. Give it a 5-star rating if you're listening in. We've got that radical guest. She's an actress, Kelly Ann Park. She also wears a crown.
Well, I know. I got my crown on today. House Parkarian.
Parkarian. I love that.
Parkour.
Parkourian.
Dr. Muhammad Noor is here, and he is wearing a dragon shirt.
It's actually my wife's shirt, but I just borrowed it for this.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. I'm wearing a cool tower shirt, like a tarot
like
card.
the high towers. Auto high tower.
I think my buddy Darth got it for me. More on him later. All right. More on him later. Those were 2 words. Want to clear the record there. So let's get into this thing. Muhammad, I'm totally lost. Where do we go?
Now we have a predicament. This is where we predict what each other thought of the show after we saw it. So this is Ryan's favorite part of the show.
It is. I really like it. I enjoy it a lot. It's my favorite. Muhammad, we've known each other for several years, few years, so I think I know you pretty well. Kelly and I have known each other for like 10 years. It's crazy.
A long time.
Give or
long
take.
Time.
We know each other pretty well, so we're going to make some predictions. Everybody at home, pay attention. We're going to give you some clues. You're going to make some predictions in a moment too. Muhammad, I think you generally have seen all of Game of Thrones in the past, but I'm not 100% sure because it doesn't seem like it's really terribly up your alley. I'm not sure how much you enjoy seeing the filth that goes on these types of shows, but I think you're still going to be fairly warm on this. But you're going to say it was a very tough watch. You don't really enjoy the content, as the French say. Actually, content, when the French say it, they're talking about happy, like content. But anyway,
content.
So Kelly, I believe that you are very high on this. I believe you've already seen all of this. You love Game of Thrones. You love this. You've already seen it all, and you're very excited, as the French also say. Ryan, Muhammad, what are your predictions?
I wanted to hear it. So, Ryan, I know you like fantasy, and I think that's actually one of your very favorite genres. I don't think the filth would bother you so much. So, I think you're actually going to come out positive. I mean, I don't think it's like 10 positive, but I think you're going to be positive, like solidly positive, but not maxing out. Kelly, I based on some pre-conversation, I think you're going to be quite positive on this as well. And I'm fairly confident you've seen more than just this episode, and probably all, if not all, at least a lot of Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay. I see you guys. All right, that's cool. Well, I would say, Mohammed, I think you like it. I think that you liked it. I think that you can look past the smut and the foolery, the heathenness of the show, so that you can see the better storyline of the game of winning the crown or dying in the process. And then for Ryan, I think, me and you pretty much like the same genres. I've known you for a bazillion years now, and I think you really like it. Now, I don't know where you're at on House of the Dragon. I know that you like Game of Thrones, but I don't know, just because you really liked it, do you like the prequel? We don't really know, but I still think you liked it.
Do we know that Ryan's seen Game of Thrones?
We've never reviewed that on this show. House of Cards makes me think of House of Cards. I've never seen that one either.
Very different.
Well, we're going to find out whether I've seen Game of Thrones in a moment. But right now, everybody make your predictions. Do you think I like this show? Do you think Kelly liked this show? What about Muhammad? He's into filth, so who knows? Do you think we like this show? Make your predictions in the live chat or in the comments below. Take your time, really think about it. And while you're typing away, Dr. Noor here is going to buy us all a little bit of time by telling us what this show is even about, like Italy.
Yeah. In this Game of Thrones prequel, King Viserys Targaryen is in air. His wife has had multiple babies, but only one girl has survived, and his wife is pregnant yet again. Unfortunately, his wife dies during a forced C-section, and their infant son also dies in the process. Viserys is left to decide between his ruthless and violent brother, Daemon, played by Matt Smith, Doctor Who fans, or his daughter, Rhaenyra, as the heir, and decides on the latter. Meanwhile, the Hand of the King, which is a position, not actually his hand, tries to pimp out his daughter to the grieving king for reasons not yet clear.
All right. Good stuff there. So that's what this show is about. I like how you said his wife dies. She just died. That's just what sometimes these things happen.
Instead of
He just kind of went away.
It was like, oops, she died. So anyway, now I have a feeling Muhammad's favorite part is coming up.
This is my favorite part of the show. We call it expectation, where we spend a little bit of time on what you expected before you saw the show, and a lot more time on what you get after you've seen the show. My favorite. I get to be violent. This is why I like shows like this.
Ooh, plot twist. Well, Muhammad, before you watched this first episode of House of the Dragon, what did you expect, if anything?
So I did see this first episode back when it first aired in August or September of last year. I don't remember exactly what month it came out. I had seen this before, and I watched it again just here recently. Before I saw it the first time, I mean, I didn't know anything about it. I think I'd heard it was a Targaryen family thing, but I didn't know even when it was set. I've seen all of Game of Thrones. I'll tell you a story about that later. I didn't know anything about where it was set. I didn't really know what it was going to be going into. This time, of course, obviously, like I knew more because I'd seen this episode before. So it was interesting revisiting it with like a time gap and having had time to contemplate what had been happening in the meantime. So yeah, I again knew it was Targaryen family. I knew that it was set before Game of Thrones, but I didn't know how much before until that very first scene, which actually said exactly how long before.
Show did. What about you, Kelly?
I actually assumed it might be the Mad King, which it clearly was not. It was well before the Mad King.
Kelly, what did you expect before you watched this first episode?
I expected, as a huge Game of Thrones fan, I expected it to be, I suppose, in more detail, like kind of like I thought there would be more families introduced, and technically there are, but the way that that Game of Thrones is set up, you actually like spend a decent amount of time with certain families right in the first episode. So I was expecting like a group of, you know, montage, blah, 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 like groups of different houses, like the, you know, high tower, whatever, family or something, like more background stuff. And so I thought it was going to be a lot more like a lot longer introductions.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah.
Was there more to this?
Oh no, I forget. Do I say what I got? This
Not yet.
Not yet.
But I'll tell y'all. Yeah, I'll tell y'all what I expected, if anything. Well, I had seen all of Game of Thrones, and I did like it. I do like fantasy, and I found this to be very good. Game of Thrones, that is. Like most people, I was like, boy, they really dropped the ball in those last couple seasons of Game of Thrones. But on the whole, so I feel like that kind of soured it.
I want to debate that, but I'll come back to that.
I feel like a lot of us, when we look back on Game of Thrones, were kind of a little soured because they didn't stick the landing, in my opinion. But anyway, the point is that maybe that led to me never watching this first episode, or maybe I just don't usually watch TV for recreational purposes at all. I just don't have time for it. So also, I did know, contrary to Kelly, I did know that it was about House Targaryen. I knew that. And I was like, that doesn't sound as interesting, because what was cool about Game of Thrones is all these different warring houses and all these different sigils and things like that. And I was like, I wasn't really that interested in the Targaryens, to be honest. Like, you know, so I was just like, I didn't really have a ton of interest in watching this show. I had a feeling I would someday. And so this was that day. And so that's kind of what I expected, or what I knew going into it. But that's what we expected, everybody. Dr. Noor, what did we actually get, you personally?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's interesting. I watched this episode the second time here with my son, and we also just recently watched the first of Game of Thrones, and it was fascinating, the contrast. This comes back to what you were saying, Kelly, too, that for this one, he was able to watch with me, and he got it, and it was fine, and he was able to follow everything that was happening. Game of Thrones, I had to make this giant chart because there were so many.
Yes.
Like, who are all these Stark kids? Who are all like, and who is this Theon Greyjoy? And how is this person related? Like, what? It was too much to fully comprehend in that first episode of Game of Thrones. This one, you can just get it. You know, it was fine. It was fairly straightforward. In that sense, I actually found it more achievable. In that sense, like you could watch that first episode and you fully got what was going on. I did catch a lot of Game of Thrones names, even though it was focused, of course, on House Targaryen. You'd pick up these little references to either places or family names or things like that. Though I don't remember Hightower ever being in the original.
No.
Maybe it wasn't. I just forgot. Oh, okay, good.
I don't remember hearing it either.
Yeah. I enjoyed this.
Cryptic, what happens in the future for that family.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Ooh, good point.
And
I thought
End of the line.
I thought cinematography was great. I mean, just the scenes, which was something that was famous for Game of Thrones. Not as much in the first episode, but like Game of Thrones as a series, so much overall. I really enjoyed the story, and I thought the acting was like spot on. I was like, wow, these guys, they are doing their roles the way they should be doing it. And I have to say, like, I felt for Viserys. I remember having debates with people after this. People were like, jerk Viserys. I'm like, what was he supposed to do? They're like, he shouldn't have like killed his wife. It's like, he was never given an option which actually said his wife would live. It was just like, you could do this and save the baby, or you could not. And it was a little unclear if they would both die or just.
But like, if
he did say you would
given
lose both.
birth before,
oh, he did say, okay,
you would know that if the baby can't get out, they're both gonna die. So
yeah. But it's funny because people were so mad about it. I'm like, what was he supposed to do? I mean, like, I guess he could have been more communicative with her about what was happening, but
okay. They didn't have anything. So
yeah, no, exactly. So I mean, yeah, I felt for Viserys in general. He struck me as like, this is a guy who's and this is a common thing in leadership. This is a guy who's like a nice guy but not very effective at his job.
yeah. He has a hint of I almost feel like he has a hint of Ned Stark in him. Like maybe even a little less brave than Ned. Like,
yeah, agreed.
I don't know.
Especially that. Yeah. Ned was more effective.
Yeah, he's just on there's like two ends of like a ruler when it comes to like there's like
there's
Damon,
the 1
like,
and the 12, right?
Yeah,
No, but
and like
we'll get into all this a
tummy
little
chop
bit
off your
later.
hand.
Hang on a second. We got to finish with
Oh.
what we actually got.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
think,
good.
and then we're gonna-
Go for it. Go, Kelly. You're good.
Okay.
Oh, what I got pretty much was pretty. I got a lot more background on the one family, and I got a nice jousting tournament. Saw a
Kristen
couple
Cole.
Yep, Kristen Cole. Saw some blood, guts, and breasts, of sorts, and brothel, and yeah, no, I was very pleased. So that's what I got.
Like the guts the most. I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah.
No, it's easy.
Well, I'll tell y'all what I actually got.
Did you guys? Let me ask you a quick question before you do that, Ryan. Did you guys know that Matt Smith was in this before? Because I didn't until I came. I was like, "Oh, Matt Smith is in this."
I didn't really know anything about this show at all.
Sorry. Okay.
I'll tell you what I got was. You're right. It was definitely easier to follow than that first episode of Game of Thrones. First episode of Game of Thrones, I had no idea what the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was just being forced to watch it by somebody. And then finally, when it kicked in, that's when I got into it. Whereas this one, yeah, easier to follow, I should say. I still definitely had to take notes to follow it. But it actually ended up being better than I expected. It was very good, very similar formula. It's the Game of Thrones formula, which is there's some kind of problem at the top and a bunch of side pieces, maybe the wrong term, but pieces on the side have a claim to that throne. And we see that person at the top is going to be gone soon, theoretically. And so we need to know what's going to happen. And so there's going to be all this chess playing and maneuvering, but in the Game of Thrones world, which is more like killing and attacking and stabbing people or whatever to attain it. So what I got was a show that was much better than I expected. When I first watched the first few minutes, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really remember. I'm like, they're referencing stuff and I recognize the names, but I don't really remember things. It's been quite some time. But then I kind of started remembering a few things and picking up a few things. And I didn't like, let's just get into it. I did not like how all the names sounded the frickin' same.
My son said.
I was like, you guys are fucking killing me, man. Now I understand why they did, because the Targaryens, first of all, it would make sense that all their names are similar. Plus, they love to hump each other, if I remember correctly. They hump each other, so of course they're going to also share. They're sharing beds. They might as well share names too. Everybody's the same. You have Viserys, who's a similar name to same name as Viserys. In Game of Thrones, there's other names that are exactly the same. Yeah.
Viserys, Daenerys, Bananas.
Rhaenys and Rhaenyra.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you guys are killing me. Usually, I like in my notes, I abbreviate things with just the first letter. But I'm like, I can't do that, man. I don't know who these people are. That part was killing me. But otherwise, it's really
the Valarians who are from Valyria.
No, they're like, oh, I'm from Iowa, so I'm Iowan.
Yeah.
Iowan. Bob. Just saying. Could have gone Bob, but
I owe you
thing.
$10.
Iowa, yeah. Iowa.
Muhammad, you've got some notes you want to throw at us, I can tell.
Yeah, actually, there were several like just epic lines in there that like really, like just knocked the breath out of you. Like one of them was I think this was Rhaenyra. I wonder if in the few hours that he lived, my father was able to find happiness. Like, oh, ouch, or the comment.
Yes,
from,
that was a killer. That may have been the line of the episode. Killer.
Yeah. And Daemon digging in the whole air for a day thing, like, there were so many just like power things in there. I definitely, in watching the first one, I was very curious about this crab feeder. It was referenced several times, like the crab feeder. It was gonna have like Mulchy, like puts out little
crabs.
Yeah, or he's got crabs.
Crabs.
Yeah. Oh man, and like the scene with Daemon and the City Watch, where he was just like pronouncing these like judgments on people and just going after like, Ooh, boy.
Rude.
not
No,
the-
you
not the
stole it. Let
doctor.
me have a hand. You put it somewhere you weren't supposed to. Let me see her.
Yeah.
Guillotine.
Ooh.
I was like, ooh, ooh. Oh, that one's gonna
Totally.
hurt.
Totally.
Well, let's.
What was it? Oh, this one. Yet to name someone without ambition for absolute power. Ooh.
Oh, that was a. Yeah, I wrote that one down too. That was a gorgeous line. I actually paused it and went back to make sure I got it word for word on that one because that was beautiful. He said he lacks the patience for it, was the setup for it. Oh, my brother would never want to be king. He lacks the patience for it. And then they said that line,
Yeah.
which was, what was the line word for word?
I might not have exactly. I have the gods have yet to name someone without ambition for absolute power.
Mm-hmm.
I might have like a word or two off, but it was close to that at least.
Yeah,
I didn't pause it. I just kept going.
It. But I did take a lot of notes. Oh, yeah.
I was happy that
he doesn't want the
Rhaenyra
crown.
got named there.
He lacks the patience for it. The gods have yet to make a man who lacks patience for absolute power, your grace. Added the your grace at the end, just to be like, oh, I'm just saying a nice little thing. Added wisdom. Do you guys have a favorite character?
I'll let you go first.
Me?
Yeah.
My favorite character? I mean, when I say favorite, I mean it's for different reasons. Like, oh, that person's really great. Like, none of them are really that great. Like when it comes to their morals.
Oh yeah.
But man, Damon, I tell you, Damon is just something. He is so interesting to see. So, because they want you to think he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like he's set up as the bad guy.
Yep.
But it comes down to a Game of Thrones or like about ruling. Is he a bad guy or is he doing just what's best to further their line and their reign? Like, are you a 1 or a 12? Like they're clearly different. I don't know. So I think he is incredibly interesting. Want to know where his character ends up going? Is he going to be this tyrant? Is he going to, you can always tell, you could already tell he wants his niece. He wants Rhaenyra, because he's all like, turn around, let me give you my necklace. She's all like, okay, Uncle, wink. And I'm like, ooh, so that's fine. That's fine.
Highly Targaryen.
Yeah, that's very Targaryen and
Yep, just keeping the family. So anyways, so I think he's really interesting. Like for example, Allison, like she has one of the kinder morals, but she's the least interesting to me. Like I mean, yeah, by the end of her episode, I was like, I feel bad for her. She's getting hoed out, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, still though, you're not very interesting. But that's okay. So it's like two different things. I'm also curious about her, but I'm more like, Damon, where are we going? Also, side note, I'm telling you this, if you have seen Game of Thrones and now watch House of the Dragon, I don't know why, but immediately I picked up on it. Damon's voice sounds just like Bolton or Ramsay Snow / Ramsay.
Oh
Bolton.
no! Oh, Ramsay Bolton.
They sound the same.
Oh.
I'm telling you, they have the same. Maybe it's just the same accent or something. But I was like,
interesting.
whoa.
Oh, that's
I'm
terrible.
telling you, rewatch it and hear they have the same accent and the same fluctuations in their voice. And I'm like, well, I hope he doesn't end up like Ramsay, but you know.
My God, Ramsay was the worst.
Seriously, didn't mean to plant that little demon in your brain, but I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
But you,
what do you think, Muhammad? Oh, me, boy.
Yeah, I'll go left.
I wasn't ready for this. I'll tell you who was my favorite character most of the way, or up until towards the end, was Otto Hightower.
Oh,
he seemed very interesting, and he was wise, and he was understated. And in a world of overstated people, I tend to like the understated person, the one that's a little bit seemingly more reasonable. Then he became a little bit less reasonable. And I was like, damn it, are you making a fool of me, Otto? I was just about ready to be like, Otto's my guy, Team Otto, wear his sigil, whatever it is, a pickle or something. And, Sirach's here. And, and, so I was ready to claim him as my favorite. But then that didn't quite work out towards the end. And contrary to you, Kelly, Alicent then became my favorite character.
Oh,
Because
Ooh.
she's definitely a dark horse. I see at the end there, when we saw what was going on and how bravely she took something that was not easy to take, being told to go do something that's not easy to do by her own father, no less. And she takes it very, bravely and very acceptingly. And that's clearly a strong person, taking that kind of terrible, madness. But I also thought, I'll bet you this is setting her up to be a very key character in subsequent episodes. Because if you think about it, she can end up basically being the queen at this point, and giving birth to the heir that the king never had, which would suddenly, I don't know if that's where it's going, but it seems to me that if she can give the king a son, then that means she's giving him the thing that he's always wanted. Plus, it takes the throne away from whatever the girl's, Rhaenys or something. Rhaenyra. I don't know.
Rhaenys is the one who would have been the monarch if
got it.
Rhaenys,
so I
Rhaenyra,
could see her
Rhaenyra.
becoming a very key character, like a Cersei Lannister, or whatever the red-haired girl's name was. She ended up being a very key character later on.
Oh, yeah.
Sansa?
With the eye. Oh, I thought you were talking about the lady with the eyes far apart.
Anyway, so that's my favorite, because I think that she's going to end up becoming the big deal. A very key character. What about you, Muhammad?
I think my favorite, honestly, is Viserys. I just really felt for him.
Even though he had goo in his back?
Yeah, I mean, clearly there's stuff like going on with him, but
what was that? Like, what was that? Like,
I looked this up. I looked this up online. I just Googled, like, what does Viserys have? And it said leprosy.
Leprosy. Because I thought maybe, like, remember in Game of Thrones, they did have the scale men, but he didn't. Well, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen to the king, but he did make a comment that I didn't pick out last time that I picked out this time from rewatching it, was he got it from the chair.
So
that's what I thought. I thought he was getting like tetanus or something.
So, I was thinking he got like tetanus, because he was like, dude, I got it from the Iron Throne because he's got 1,000 swords and one finally stabbed him, and he was like, yo, and then it got infected, then it festered.
I think he was just wrong, because I mean, that's or it could be the leprosy just made him more prone to infection. Maybe that's what it was. Because my son thought the same thing. He was like, "Didn't he get it from the chair?" I was like, I don't think you can get leprosy from sitting on a chair,
right?
but
maybe,
it might make you,
like, or because he doesn't, I mean, we don't know for sure how he dies, if he dies, blah blah blah. But if we did,
maybe we do,
maybe we do, but it doesn't look too concerning at this point, so it can't be too concerning of an ailment. Or do we know? We'll just have to stay tuned, I suppose.
Well, I guess if it is,
I thought he was going to die.
If he is immune compromised, then maybe that's why the chair did actually just give him an infection, because he would have otherwise been able to just fight it off or something like that.
Yeah.
My son's
think there's
favorite,
a certainty that he's going to die at some point, and this is all the positioning beforehand.
Yeah, my son's favorite was Kristen Cole. He was like, Kristen Cole every time.
I was rooting for him too. Yeah,
Kristen Cole,
who's Dornish, by the way. And there was also a couple other things. There was also a Rickon Stark, which was very nice to hear. And Baratheon. There are a few of these little Easter eggs thrown around where we're like, wait a minute, he said Baratheon, he said Rickon Stark. Those were very nice things to hear.
Totally.
Oh, but then the one line where I had to kind of get an about face on Otto. And by the way, I don't only like characters that are nice. I prefer the bad characters. But when he was so good, and then he turns and tells his daughter, go give him comfort. And then he says, you might wear one of your mother's
Oh,
dresses. In my notes, I was just like,
gross.
barf. Oh, barf. I was like,
Oh, it was
"Bleh."
gross.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
Otto,
age
what
is just a
happened to
number,
you?
huh?
Yeah.
12.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's also like his daughter's friend. Like, what? That's so creepy.
Well, that's also going to make an interesting dynamic is
yeah.
the Rhaenyra, her best friend or her friend
Yeah.
might also end up being her stepmom and the person providing a different heir. Now, I'm looking way too
This is
far ahead,
them.
and who knows?
I mean, you can see it right behind me.
Oh, see, yeah, I don't know.
That's
That seems like
Alicent and Rhaenyra right there.
future episodes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be a mess.
Oh, it's gonna be a mess, man. I
Definitely
tell
gonna-
ya.
And they
Get all
mentioned lick
mad.
spittles too. I thought that was a very funny word. What's a lick
What was the
spittle?
point? I don't know what that is.
Lickspittle.
You know what that is? I don't know what that is.
I mean, when they said he said you're laughing with your whores and your lick spittles.
I remember it, but I don't know what that
Ooh,
means.
I mean, I guess
Did
it
you
means
Google
like
it?
a boot licker.
Yeah. I did like the
Ooh.
idea that it's an illusion that Targaryens control dragons. That was an interesting story there because we've always sort of assumed that was just a thing, but like that was nice adding to the overall brand of what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Lick spittle,
Spit-
a person who behaves obsequiously to those in power. Yeah, so it's like a bootlicker or something.
Mm.
A fawning subordinate.
Mm.
Oh, you're so great. Tell me about it.
Oh.
You're the soul heir again.
You're the lick
Give us
spittle.
a speech.
Were there any characters you guys did not like?
I mean, Daemon troubled me, but I mean, it was a quality character. He's the Gul Dukat, right? He's the bad guy,
Yeah.
but like he's still like good at being a bad guy, at least in this episode.
That's how I felt about Otto. I was like, God, I don't like you at all. But I was like, he's good at it though. He's good at being
He's playing the game.
That eloquent bad
playing
guy.
the game.
Yeah. He's more
But,
the Kai
like,
Wynn.
Well, because like at least that and that's my opinion on these types of I'm telling you, these snaky ruler people. Like, you know what? You may at least Damon's like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm doing it to get things done. Otto's like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but still slithers in, just still he won't fuss up to it. That's why I tell you guys, I mean, this is just a side note out of nowhere, but that's the difference between Gryffindors and Slytherins in Harry Potter is Slytherins are like, hey, I can be a crappy person, but at least I'm willing to admit it. Gryffindors are like, I'm not crappy. I totally deserve this. And so now you know my opinions on Gryffindors, but that's not the point. The point is at least Damon is honest. Otto, I don't know, brother. Like, I see you. We see you behind closed doors.
I also really liked Rhaenys. Was that the queen that would be queen, or the princess that would be queen but wasn't?
If
the queen that never was.
Yeah. Exactly, that was the word. Yeah,
I thought that the lady that played her was a excellent actress. I think that's what that we didn't get a ton of really interesting stuff from her, but that's what made her so great, was that she was just an amazing actress, I thought.
So we need to pause for a minute here because we have some special guests. Let's start admitting some of these people in.
Who are
we have some people because this is a good week.
Oh my goodness!
There's people popping into the screen. I don't know. This is very exciting. Hey! I see Ryan has gone dark there.
I want no part of all
we
of
have
you
a few
guys.
people.
You guys can have fun doing this, but I am not. So welcome everybody to Falling Towers. Watch the first pod.
Happy birthday, Ryan! Happy birthday, dude!
That was fun. Thanks. Yeah. You know what's funny is I actually made myself disappear, and I just watched you guys react, and then I got kicked off. Then my internet just went out, and I got kicked off. But thanks.
Oh no!
Then you froze.
Thanks for showing up, everybody. Appreciate it. That's amazing.
Hey.
Yeah.
Boros would be no other
Taking up all your
place.
bandwidth.
I'm actually recording now, so I can send you this recording.
Great. Yeah, no, we're definitely all set. I'm sure it's still recording. What's up, Sasha? It's been a while. Oh, you put my name on your chest.
Yeah.
Long time listener, first time caller.
I know. I should be your guest soon again because I miss the show.
There we go.
I also wrote your name somewhere on my body, Ryan. You just have to guess where.
Does it just say RN, and then when you get excited, it turns to Ryan?
No,
For the record, I wrote it there.
Yeah.
It just says Ron.
My handwriting is not very good, so I mean, it is good actually.
Oh, you mean on you? Got it. Okay.
Actually, that's pretty good to be able to draw that on yourself in the mirror. I'm guessing.
Backwards.
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 Sirach,
Like
do you
that.
have video?
Backwards.
Sirach? Do you have video, Sirach? Can you hear us?
Is Sirach here?
Let's see.
Yeah, he's here. Just
Well,
says
I
console.
saw his. Yeah, there he is.
Oh, is
He's
that
here in
Tom's
spirit.
cell
He's
phone?
definitely
There he
here,
is.
though. There he is.
Yay.
Wearing his family shirt.
Rock, what's up, buddy?
What we're gonna do is
Dude.
we're gonna have everybody
What's
say
up?
we're gonna have everybody say a quick happy birthday. So I'll just
All
call
right,
names
thanks.
out. So meteorologist, or actually is no, Jen's not here. She actually had to. She only had like a couple of minutes, so she.
Jen is here. We got the Klingon pop
other
right
Jen,
here.
different Jen.
Good to see you, Jen.
Yeah, Katie, why don't you go first?
Yes, Ryan, happy birthday. Thank you so much for being such an amazing friend, and I'm so happy you're a part of my life.
Thank you.
Lila.
Awesome.
Happy birthday, Ryan. You are not only just a wonderful all-around entertainer, but a wonderfully kind human being. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Awesome, Melissa.
Happy birthday, Ryan. Thank you for being a friend. You're the Smurfiest.
Awesome, Michael.
Cool.
Joyeux anniversaire, mon bon ami.
What? It's like a Darmok thing? Just kidding.
Michael's
Thank you.
friends want to say
Appreciate
something
it.
too?
Oh, happy birthday, Ryan. Miss you, friend.
Thanks, Angie. Miss you too.
Awesome, Scott.
Happy birthday, Ryan. Appreciate you for being a friend and everything you do for the Star Trek community.
Well said. Klingon Jen.
Poślij de Tivjaj, the Empire salutes you on this day.
Very nice. Sasha.
Well, since we're speaking foreign languages here, с днем рождения, Ryan, поздравляю тебя, пусть у тебя будет отличный год. Have a wonderful year, and also you look super handsome for your 18. You look just, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And nice flowers too, by the way. Very pretty.
Nice. Kat.
So cool.
Long time no see.
Happy birthday, Ryan. I wanted to wish you happy birthday so bad in our episode just now. But happy birthday. And thank you for introducing me into this world. And you're such a great friend and producer and podcaster. And I hope you have a fantastic year.
Thanks very much.
Rico.
Hey, this is where it all started with Renegades, Star Trek Renegades, and Boros, and meeting Ryan and developing an amazing friendship. It's my road dog, my brother. Love him lots, and looking forward to a lot more adventures. And hey, pizza and beer, man. Let's do it.
I know. Love you too. I knew pizza and beer was coming. We've been talking about pizza and beer forever, but we're always like, we got to do pizza and beer, man. We got to do it.
One of these days. We got it. But happy birthday, my friend.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Man.
Kelly, I know you're on the show, but you can still speak on this.
Happy birthday, Ryan. You're my favorite. I love doing these. And when I was in LA, they were fun. And when I moved away, it was hard for me to adjust to a different life. But anytime I ever wanted to be a part of the passion in my heart and soul was because I get to be on these with you guys. So this makes me really excited to be a part of it. And it's because of you. So happy birthday because you're awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Kelly. You're the best.
Awesome. Darth.
Hey, Ryan. Well, shoot. I guess we've known each other about 37 years by now. So, and been friends about those 37. So, Yeah, I just got to say, hey, this last 50 flew by, and hope the next 50 is just as prosperous for you.
Wait, what? 50? Yeah.
Tell me
Thanks,
more.
Darth. Nice shirt.
Last but not least, Sirach.
Happy birthday, Ryan. You know, you're just an amazing guy. Really love you. And everything that you do for the, for the community, man. You've just been awesome. I drew a picture for you, to commemorate today. I will be presenting this to you later on, but it's a portrait, Ryan.
Oh,
headshot.
Fucking Ryan.
Wow, that's accurate enough.
Uncanny.
Outstanding.
There you go.
Amazing.
Happy
Boom,
birthday.
headshot, finally.
Outstanding.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for showing everybody
Love
for
you.
this.
Love you too, man.
Yay!
Love you, Ryan. Bye.
This is great. I really
Right.
appreciate you guys.
Yay!
Thanks for taking the time out of your day and saying nice things. I appreciate it.
We love
I know
you.
you get the bill.
Love you.
Yes, sir.
Love you, Ryan. Yes.
Bye, Ryan. Love you, man.
Bye.
All right,
Love
bro.
you too, bro.
Yeah.
See you
Happy
soon.
birthday.
Bye. Thanks.
Happy birthday. They're dropping like the flies.
I don't know if Darth knows how to hang up on his own.
He doesn't. I was like, Darth, you're wearing an interesting shirt today. When I saw him in the hall, I was like, All right, Darth. Bye, Darth. I'll help you out. There we go.
Aw.
Well, thanks. That was a lot of fun. I really appreciate that.
We
Sorry
love you,
I wanted
that
man.
to say something.
I don't know what
but
kicked me off my internet, but
Yeah,
I'm
it was
recording
so
now, so we
exciting.
can merge the two.
Well, do you remember when when they like celebrities take pictures and it kills the internet? Like that's what happened. Like
yep. It was funny. But when Sirach showed up early, I was like, all right, I see what's happening here.
I know.
I was like, all right, we'll just keep on with the with whatever it was I was trying to say, but my mind was working on things. I was like, okay,
what's going
all
on
right.
here? What's happening?
And I was trying to remember Rainus or Raynar or Rhaegar or whatever.
Yeah.
Rainy.
I'll go back to
Or
that.
Rhea Perlman. Anyway, thanks guys. I appreciate that. I know that must have been a lot of work to put together, so I appreciate
Everybody
That
was
was
happy to do
Mohammed.
it.
Yeah,
Everybody's happy to do it.
Anyway, so I guess it's time for the bottom line. Is that where we're going with this, Mohammed? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, sure. That's a bottom line.
don't
Actually,
know
we
what you
should
guys had
mention one
planned.
quick thing for everybody who doesn't know. Like, so you're watching this episode on Wednesday. Brian's birthday is actually this coming Saturday. So this is a little bit early, but not too far.
Mhm.
So send the goods now so he gets them on his birthday.
There you go.
Thank you. See, that's why you're our star guest, Kelly. She gets it. But seriously, hurry up and send those things so they reach me in time.
Reach out.
All right.
Time for the bottom line.
Yeah, the final two questions of the show. But Darth called me 50. How dare he? So rude. We can cut that out. Final two questions of the show. Question number one, of course, is Dr. Mohammed Noor, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode of House of the Dragon?
House of the Dragon. I thought about this at the time, and what I wrote down, which I'll stick with because I don't like trying to change it, 8.3. I was very positive on it. I thought it was quite good. I mean, it wasn't like the best show I've ever seen, but it really engaged me and was interesting and good plots and fairly straightforward to follow and just well done all around.
Beautiful. What about you, Kelly?
Well, I would say that I really liked the story. It was pretty good. I give it a 9.9, baby.
Wow.
Loved, loved, loved. I'll
Wow.
have you know that my wedding next year is Targaryen themed.
Whoa.
You're not marrying
It
your
is-
brother.
Wait, you're not going to like kill things or anything,
Or
are
marry
you?
your brother.
No, we are going to play the Reigns of Castamere to see if anybody like all of a sudden starts laughing.
Oh.
We definitely want to play that. But like other than that, like all of our centerpieces are dragon's eggs, and
Oh, cool.
our wedding colors are black and blood. You know, fire and blood. And then we've got a banner, a giant banner that will say House Nyans, because that's gonna be my married name. And and it'll have a big the sigil on there. It's gonna be crazy. So needless to say, a little bit of a fan, and that's probably the highest score I'll probably give anybody. So 9.9, maybe.
Everybody into symbology, don't look too deep into the black and blood colors or any of that stuff. Just let them have their day.
Yeah.
But Kelly,
they send the regards.
What could they have done for it to be a 10 and not a 9.9?
Ooh.
Pass to Kelly.
Well, I will say, because there's always that 0.1 of what I wanted it to be if Kelly Park had written the show. So there's always I always leave room for something that, you know, every little bits and moments where I'm like, I would have done that different. I would have done that different. And I will say, not every episode is like that. That's what the one question I had for you guys is, how do you feel? Now, I don't know, Ryan, if you have, that's a good question. If you have watched any other episodes besides this one, but as you can tell, I may have dabbled in a couple more other episodes. And I just think it's really interesting. One thing I would not have done is change the characters as they aged. But now that I've watched it several times, I'm getting used to it and I kind of like it. But at first I was not on board. So there was several episodes where I was like, ooh, 5.2. But the first one, I was mad. I was pretty mad at first because I was like, they aged 10 years and if you look at pictures of yourself in 10 years ago, you look a little younger, but you don't look like a completely different person. Like, this isn't 50 years later. This is 10 years later that you'll may or may not see, Ryan, if you were to watch the next episode.
This actress does look, even though they're not actually that different age, this actress does look a lot older than the one who plays Rhaenyra in the first one. And I think the one who plays in the first one looks like she's like under 20, even though she's obviously not. But she looks like she's under 20. So it'd be a little bit funny if she had, like, in the end of the series, when she has kids who are like, adults or just about adults. Maybe. But
well, there's a lot going on here. A lot to think about. It was a good start. It was hard to follow, but certainly much easier to follow than the first episode of Game of Thrones. There were also some moments that were actually kind of hard to watch, specifically the birthing scene.
Yeah.
And I'm usually pretty stoic. I can watch anything. Gore doesn't affect me. No, nothing at all. However, well written and well acted anguish and pain, that actually does affect me. The mental, anguish and trauma and what the mom was going through and what the dad was going through. And I was just like, woof, this is a tough watch here. And I was actually thinking about you, Muhammad, being a father and not tending to like these kind of things. I was like, he's not going to enjoy this specific scene. And Kelly, being a recent mother, I was like, she's going to have a tough, but you're tough as nails. So what do I know? Apparently you're like, oh yeah, whatever. Oh, look, this is my favorite part. This is where you could actually watch the life leaving her eyes. Check it out. It's great.
Yeah.
but you are a tough cookie. So that's why we love you.
It was tough though. It is tough though to watch, because, there's that, not to be gory, but there's that much blood most times in those things. So when you watch, there was a moment where you saw her body expel pools of blood. And I was like, oh my God, this is what could have happened in anyone's childbirth.
Right.
And I went, praise be 2023. Here's where I'm at. So I prefer present times. Anyways, I get it.
Totally.
Though.
And speaking of present times, today is present time to send me your gifts for my birthday. Just kidding. Kind of. So I would give it an 8.7. It was better than I expected. And it got progressively better as the show went on. It was a little bit tough to know all the names were driving me nuts. But the story is there. We understand the story. We know what's going on. We get it. It's a very Game of Thrones story. Yeah, we know it's just another Game of Thrones story in a slightly different setting or in a different time and different house, but it's the same story. It's the same type of struggle. It's the same game. But that's what I would give it, an 8.7. Now on to question number 2. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of House of Dragon, but now the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet. Dr. Muhammad Noor, would you, of your own volition, watch the second episode?
So I watched all the episodes as they were coming out. I watched this one watched the first with my son, and we ended up watching the entire series again since that time. So, very strong, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. He loved it, by the way, too. He thought this was great.
Miss Kelly Park. I remember when I first met you, Kelly, I called you Kelly Perk because you're so happy and perky and fun to be around. I don't know if you remember that. I mostly said it in my head.
Well, not before 8 a.m. I will tell you that. I mean, that is a different creature. But after like 8 or 9 a.m. and a couple coffees, ding! But anyways.
Now, would you watch the second episode now that you're slathered in coffee?
Yeah, I think I would dabble. I mean, I think I would. Yep, I would. I would watch the second one. How about you?
How many have you actually watched?
What's that?
How many have you watched? Have you watched them all?
Oh, I've watched them all several. I've watched the season a couple times.
Okay.
I love that family. And the only thing I don't like, I'm curious to know how their reign went from this awesome like dynasty or blah 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 of like huge family down to Dany, and that like what happened? Maybe they went to Hightowers. Who knows? Mad King, I guess he burned them all. I don't know, but like, and then where are all the dragons? Like that's all for like curious to know.
You know, we didn't really get an answer as to what you would change to get that extra 0.1. You don't have to answer. I'm just so curious because you loved it so much. And when somebody gives it a 9.9, my first thought is, what was that one little ding? What was that one little thing?
I know what the ding is. The intro, they didn't change the song.
Oh, the first episode didn't have the song. It was all the later ones had it.
You're right. It didn't.
And I missed it. I was like, "Where's the song? I want to hear the theme song, either a new one or an old one or something."
Everybody agrees with that, and so this is an unpopular opinion. I wish they would have done a different song or like something like it, but a twist, because it's about the Targaryens. It's not about all the houses. It's about the Targaryens. So like Targaryens have a theme song. Where was that? So that actually is more than a 0.1. That like
so they reuse. So in the future they reuse just the old song.
Exactly. Yeah. My daughter's comment is you can't improve upon perfection.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I just thought, So I mean, that is definitely like for episode 2, I'll give it a 9 because I would have definitely wished that they did at least change the visuals, but like. You literally could have, I'm telling you, the composer could have made it equally awesome and still tied in, dun, 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 but like get some more Targaryen involved because that's what we're looking at. So just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I loved it.
I heard Armis is a Targaryen. Anyway, that's a Star Trek joke, everybody. So
that was funny. That was funny.
I would give it an 8.7. I said, and I would watch the second episode. It's a high mark. It's a good episode, and it gave me enough to want to watch the next episode. Not because it ended on some big crazy cliffhanger, but just because it set up the story to where I'm interested to see how the story develops. That's it. I know, like you know what the setup is. You get it. You see that it's the long game. It's just going to slowly, pieces are going to develop. People are going to start doing whatever they do to try to play the game. And it's very good. It was very well done. It was interesting. I loved seeing King's Landing from above when the guy was flying over and seeing all the houses. It's beautiful. Yeah, great show.
Do you think
I
you
would
will watch
it.
the second?
In time.
I'd like to. We'll see if I do, but I rarely actually watch the second episodes, even when I say that I will, but I would like to. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay.
So anyway, everybody, this was a special birthday edition of.
We love you, Ryan. Happy birthday!
Thanks
Many
very
happy
much.
returns. You're awesome.
And thanks for all the work and effort you put into that, Muhammad. I'm sure it's not easy hurting humans.
Melissa and Michael also helped a lot too.
Love it. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it. Now, everybody at home, if you'd like us to review a show, again, in the comments below, just type WTF, the show, and where we can find it. And then who knows, it might just happen. So what I'm trying to say is this podcast was unexpected.
This podcast was regal.
Ooh.
This podcast was Dracarys.
Oh,
fire. This thing was fire.
I love it. That's good. That was good.
So what I'm trying to say, everybody, is it's time for us to freeze frame. No, I got mixed. This birthday stuff is throwing me off way too hard. I'm trying to play it cool, but my brain's like twisted. What I'm trying to say is, Muhammad, what does Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always like to tell us?
We just saw him.
You should have just asked him.
Right. He says, don't forget to be an organ donor and don't forget to watch the first of things.
All right, freeze frame like a dragon. Dracarys. We kind of look like a dancing Ferengi too, actually.